Hello and welcome to this different video where I'll be talking about Daniel Bryan and his big announcement from last night on Raw. I didn't spoil what the announcement was in the title of the video because people can kind of do that. I've been guilty of it in the past myself, but I figured I'm not doing this for the views, so I definitely won't be announcing. I won't be putting in the title what the announcement was. But of course now I can talk about it. If you haven't seen Monday Night Raw, then go check it out and come back to this video. And again, this video is going to be a bit different. I just figured, with the kind of opportunity I have to record game footage, why not just make this a bit more interesting, a bit more visually fun, and we'll do a kind of Daniel Bryan match on here while I'm talking about his announcement from last night. So, of course, the announcement was he came out and said that he's had a very kind of up and down year, winning the title of WrestleMania, and of course being out with the injury, his father passing away just after he married his now wife, Brie Bella, and he got quite emotional during the promo, and it's good to see that. It's good to see genuine emotion out there every now and again. I think it really helps you connect to some of these people when they do show that genuine emotion. And it was going down the road of a retirement promo. Many people were thinking that this would happen. I wouldn't have been surprised because it just seems like they weren't getting anywhere with Bryan's recovery. Though part of me wondered if towards the end of kind of the past few months, maybe he was kind of exaggerating the kind of we still don't know what's happening kind of thing to make a big surprise. And I thought a lot of people were thinking when they heard how long term this injury was going to be that perhaps Bryan was going to be a surprise entry into the Royal Rumble, and that's always like kind of the dream scenario. It happened with Edge in 2010. It was huge and he won the Rumble and it was a great moment. But for me, I feel like initially my kind of feeling on it would be that they should have saved this until the Royal Rumble and just made it a surprise thing. It would have been a huge moment and a huge pop when Bryan came out. However, now that he's done it, now that he's announced that he is in fact not retiring, he will be in the Royal Rumble this year or next year. It's still 2014. I feel like it was a wise decision because Roman Reigns is winning the Royal Rumble, as far as I'm concerned. It's been the predictable thing for about 6 months now, and it's still going to be predictable until it happens. And then Roman Reigns is going to go to WrestleMania and beat Brock Lesnar, and I wish Roman Reigns all the best, but for me, I don't feel like he's ready yet. Do I feel like Daniel Bryan should be in the main event at WrestleMania and beat Brock Lesnar for the WWE title? Of course I do, because I'm a big Daniel Bryan fan. He's my favorite wrestler at the moment, so that's what I'm going to feel like. And I'd love to see Daniel Bryan break out of that kind of Eddie Guerrero spot. No disrespect to Eddie Guerrero, but that kind of the great wrestler who made it to the big time once, and that was kind of his moment, and then he goes back down the card kind of thing. I'd love to see a validation of Daniel Bryan by him winning the title again. And I know that Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar would be an incredible match. And Bryan said at SummerSlam weekend that he was really disappointed because if he was still the champion, he'd be wrestling Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, and that's kind of a dream match for him because he feels like he could give us a match we've never seen before with him versus Brock Lesnar. I believe him. I think it would be an incredible hard-hitting match, and I would love to see that at WrestleMania, but I don't think that'll happen. And that's fair enough. Again, I don't feel like Bryan should go to WrestleMania in the main event and he should win the title, because also I'm a firm believer in someone who has worked hard all year getting that main event spot, and Daniel Bryan hasn't done that. And yeah, it's unfortunate that he's been out injured, but for me, that's the way it is. But I still don't really have in my mind someone who should be in the main event. Roman Reigns, I just feel like, I don't know, there's part of me that feels like he's not completely ready for that spot. But at the same time, sometimes you got to throw people in the deep end and see what happens, and it might work. So, I'm a fan of Roman Reigns. I like him. I like his style. I like his wrestling. I feel like he can't have good matches with everyone. I don't feel like he has that skill set just yet. I feel like he's quite weak on the microphone, and he sticks very rigidly to what he's been told to say, which is evident from his TLC promo where he completely blanked because he clearly messed up something he was supposed to say, and thus, he kind of lost his track because he wasn't really, it wasn't, what's the word? He wasn't feeling it. He wasn't in the moment, which he should be, I think. As you can see, I'm playing Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar here live as I'm recording this. I'm not kind of doing the audio after the fact, so we'll see how well I do against Brock Lesnar. But I think it was smart for them to in retrospect, for them to announce that Bryan would be in the Royal Rumble, because, you know, when Roman Reigns wins, you know, which I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion, but I'd say it's about 95% sure that Reigns is going to win this thing. You know, it'll lessen the kind of backlash, because I feel like if Bryan turned up at number 30, everyone's going to go nuts, and when he doesn't win, it just derail the whole show, I think. Whereas now people can kind of get used to the fact that Bryan is in the Rumble, and, you know, not get hung up on that like they did last year, and we won't have a repeat of the disaster that was last year, even though that was a huge part of the whole story, which, you know, was, again, for my money, the best underdog story ever told, you know, with Daniel Bryan. I thought that was just amazing. Oh, German suplex, unbelievable. Right, it's actually a little bit harder to concentrate on what I'm saying than I thought. It was okay during the entrances. Okay, well, either way, I thought this would just be more interesting to do as a video, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, as far as Bryan winning the Rumble, I just don't see that being a possibility. I think that WWE don't really see Bryan as a long-term kind of main event commodity. Maybe as a kind of an upper card wrestler who can have great matches with anyone, who can have title matches with anyone, and put on a great show in the main event of a pay-per-view, you know, especially considering, you know, the last few pay-per-views have been headlined by Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, and these are guys that Bryan is going to be able to have incredible matches with. So, you know, if you put the title in that equation, then definitely you can see Bryan being a part of that, but I also feel like they go more with people like Roman Reigns, who, you know, are big and strong and muscly, who are kind of the prototypical kind of WWE, you know, champion image, and I think that might be more what WWE wants. More than a Daniel Bryan, you know. It's a hard thing to kind of quantify, I think. You know, and it's so easy to just sit here like I am and say, oh, this should happen, you know. I don't really know, you know. I feel like at this point, you know, all these videos I've made saying, oh, this should have happened, this definitely should have happened, you know, I feel like, well, it's easy to just say that, you know. Me sat here, you know, it's completely different when you have millions of dollars on the line and you've got to make these decisions. I do think that they probably have too many people making decisions on the main roster, though, because apparently there's, like, what I think I read, there's 2 people who book NXT, and look how great that is. That really is a great product. You know, the latest NXT Our Revolution was fantastic, you know, such a great show. And then you have Raw, which is just like hard to get through every week. And I feel like maybe too many cooks are spoiling the broth, you know, in that instance. Anyway, so for me, I would love to see Bryan win the Rumble. It would be a great moment, but also I feel like even if Bryan did win the Rumble, that wouldn't be as black and white as you think. I think there would be definitely some funny business going on. I mean, there's so many possibilities. There's been rumors now that maybe, just maybe, you know, Cena will beat Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, and I think that's a possibility. You know, I mean, they've had these 3 matches now, and I think it would definitely be a possibility for Cena to beat Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. It would be a big swerve. It would be something people aren't expecting, and it would open up perhaps a Brock Lesnar Undertaker rematch, which I don't want to see Undertaker wrestle again, for the record, but that's another video. So, you know, there's so many ways they could go with it, and you know, you could have Bryan and John Cena. I think that would be a fantastic main event, and they've proven they can have a great match at SummerSlam. So we'll see what happens. But for me, you know, I'm glad to see Bryan back at least. I just hope that we don't see Roman Reigns kind of becoming a victim of this kind of this Daniel Bryan thing. Another thing I want to talk about, as in the title of the video, is the yes fatigue, which for me is when I was at WrestleMania 30 over the weekend, for every 10 people who were chanting yes just around New Orleans in kind of celebration of WrestleMania, there was another one person going no. You know, Bryan definitely he's slowly building up a following of haters, I think, and I can understand that, because not everyone likes the same people, and that's fine. I mean, Bryan's my favorite wrestler right now. But if someone doesn't like Daniel Bryan, I'm not going to be like, why don't you like Daniel Bryan? You know, I can understand it. You know, you just don't like some people. It's just the way it is in wrestling, in life, in films, whatever, actors. It's just the way that it goes down, really. So, I mean, I've lost my track again. Trying to concentrate on beating Brock Lesnar. Okay. yeah, sometimes it's the way it goes. You know, sometimes you don't like people, and so it's fair enough if you kind of get annoyed by their success or by them being thrown down our throats. And I was saying, you know, maybe Daniel Bryan. Oh, F5. This is me done now. I was saying maybe Daniel Bryan will go down the John Cena route, you know, because he's being pushed as this kind of, you know, this huge baby face, and people might get sick of that like they did with John Cena. But I think there's more of a likability factor in Daniel Bryan than John Cena. But I could also see it happening with Roman Reigns as well, because they're pushing Roman Reigns so hard. But maybe not, I don't know. But for me, the yes fatigue, what I was getting back to was that, you know, Bryan managed to he really managed to prolong the yes phenomenon by changing it. You know, at first it was him as a heel, then it's him as a face, then he did the no thing, and he didn't do the yes chant for a while, then he brought it back, and then there was the whole kind of WrestleMania 30 storyline, which kind of was that at its peak. I don't think we'll see a return of that kind of level of you know, huge it being such a huge deal like it was every week, you know, in January, February and March, when Bryan was going into WrestleMania 30. But maybe it could happen again. I don't know. But when I was there at WrestleMania 30 and Bryan won, I thought, this is awesome. That was great. I loved it. But I don't see it happening again. You know, that was Bryan's moment, and nothing could take that away from him. But I don't know. It's like he says at the end of his documentary, Daniel Bryan's Journey to WrestleMania, which is a great documentary, by the way, on the WWE Network. At the end, he says, "Well, what's next? Do it again?" You know, I mean, that is the dream. But I definitely think that maybe the WrestleMania main event spot should go to someone who's worked all year. But at the same time, you do feel bad for Daniel Bryan. I was reading the comments on YouTube from the announcement video, you know, Bryan saying that he was going to be in the Rumble, and there's people saying like, "Oh, this made me cry because it means that Bryan is back, and I hope that he gets injured again soon." So many people just being really nasty. But then there was someone who said, "Do you know what, Daniel Bryan, he really annoys me, and the yes chants just drive me crazy. But even this made me feel kind of, gave me goosebumps, and, you know, fair play to him, no one deserves to be injured." And I think, God, if only there was more people like that out there in the world who just kind of can look at it objectively like that, even if it annoys them or whatever. But I'll try and wrap this up in the next minute. I'll just mess around a little bit more. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Bryan back. I hope that he's 100%. I hope that he can kind of go for another couple of years at least. And I hope that, you know, he can find return to success. I've no doubt, you know, if he doesn't get injured again, I've got no doubt that he'll be the WWE Champion again. I'm sure that'll happen down the line, especially with Seth Rollins with the Money in the Bank. And once Brock Lesnar is gone, you know, we're going to be looking at people like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and probably Daniel Bryan, and who knows, maybe even Dolph Ziggler, the guy that everyone is kind of high on at the moment, which, you know, for me is a possibility. You never know, because I think Dolph Ziggler is incredible, but that, again, that's another video. But there's definitely going to be a changing of the guards soon. I mean, Cena isn't going to last forever. I mean, I could still see him going another 5 years, but, you know, I feel like things, you know, it's been brewing for years now, this kind of changing of the guard. And, well, I guess it has been happening. We've seen Punk, you know, main event all these shows and stuff over the past few years, and it's definitely been changing. But, you know, I also feel like once a few people, you know, call it a day, it's really going to be the next generation full, you know, in full form. And so who knows what's going to happen when that comes, you know. And I think Daniel Bryan will hopefully be a part of that if, you know, he stays injury free, thankfully, and maybe should cut back on those top rope drop kicks, as Steve Austin was saying on this podcast. You gotta pick your spots on that drop kick, man. You know, I should do an impression. You gotta pick your spots in that drop kick, son. But there we go. So that was my thoughts on Daniel Bryan's announcement. Went on a lot longer than I thought it would. I can talk a lot about wrestling. I'm very passionate about it. But I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of this format. Again, I'm just messing around here, not really paying attention to what I'm doing on the video game. But I thought it'd be a bit more visually exciting for you guys than, you know, just me sat here talking, looking at my ugly mug for however long. So yeah, let's see if we can beat Brock Lesnar very quickly here. Oh, we got a signature. Let's go for it. Yes kicks. And yeah, thanks for watching again. As always, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about Daniel Bryan in general, or his announcement, or anything like that. Always want to hear comments from people about what I'm talking about. And yeah, hope you all have a good new year. I'll probably post a video before then, but in case you don't see one, have a good celebration, and don't drink too much, because that'll lead to bad things happening. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, he kicks out. Oh well, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. See you next time.